Oh, are you kidding me? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to fall. That's right, it's October 1st. It's a Friday, and I'm out here participating in 4 different bass tournaments. One charity, Heroes on the Water, the Jim Dolan Memorial event, runs for the next couple of weekends. I hopped in at the last minute, see if I can defend my title from last year. I'm also fishing in the Monster Bass Big Bass Challenge, where I'm sitting tied, I think, 8th through 12th with a 21-inch bass, so looking for something bigger. I'm also fishing in the October KBF Challenge Series event, which is the first event for 2022. So this is where you start qualifying for next year's national championship. While I qualified for this year's national championships, which takes place in a couple of weeks, I can't get leave to go because I have an inspection at work. But that's okay. Next year's event is at Kentucky Lake, which isn't all that far from me, being here in southern Indiana. So we'll work on getting qualified for next year's championship. And I'm also fishing in a 4-state monthly challenge for the Grassroots Bass Yakin Tournament Trail. So it should be a good time. But all that being said, I'm not gonna win any of those, and I don't really care to. I'm just out here trying to catch some fish. So today's goal is to see where we're at in this summer to fall transition and see if these bass have started picking up activity as they get ready to prepare for winter and start really stocking up on fish. As you can see behind me, the leaves are slowly starting to turn, but they are starting to turn. And in a week or so, this section of the state is going to be gorgeous. Southern Indiana is known for its rolling hills and beautiful fall trees. And we'll document some of that over the next couple of weeks as we fish. But if you're brand new to the channel, welcome to Fishing with Gramps, presented by American Legacy Fishing Company, right here on YouTube. American Legacy Fishing is where I get all of my rods and reels, and if you're looking to upgrade or looking to trade in quality stuff to upgrade for yourself, you need to check them out. And one of the coolest things they do in their Facebook group, which I'll link in the description down below, is they have drops, used drops. People who do reviews or buy something, fish with it for a little bit, and then trade it in and buy something else, or just upgrade their stuff. But if you don't want to pay new prices on higher end rods and reels, you really need to check it out. But enough of that. Let's get to fishing and see if these bass have started that fall pattern yet. My go-to confidence bait that I will fish often is a Z-Man jackhammer. My favorite trailer for the jackhammer is the Yamamoto Seiko. And yes, I prefer that over the Z-Man trailers. I know they're made of Elastec and all that too, but to me, nothing is more realistic on this jackhammer than a Seiko. And it's the Seiko that's not the paddle tail, because they've recently added that one. Those would be good for buzz baits and things like that, spinner baits. And the stealth blade, because it doesn't have as big of a blade to disrupt. But for the regular jackhammer, that Yamamoto Seiko is the one. And honestly, I get them in American Legacy Fishing as well, because they're the cheapest prices that I can find on them. I'm fishing the edge of this dam, but this place has a lot of grass in it, and it's browning, but it's not completely dead yet. So as long as the grass still has some life, I'll still fish the edges of it. Yep, there was shad busting there as soon as I pulled that through there. Trying out this Yak Attack net, but I already don't like it, because for me it's too short. I want something where I can reach out there several feet, grab them and pull them back in. But this is the leveraged landing net. I don't have a good way of keeping it out in front of me yet. Things I need to work on, maybe come up with some kind of a holder system. A lot of people keep it behind them and reach back and grab it when they go to net the fish. But I find that when I tend to reach back, I drop my rod and let slack on fish and they can come off. So I want something I can grab where I can keep my rod tip up and not have to twist backwards. So I need to have this thing sitting in front of me somehow where I can still paddle. I've not been here a whole lot of times. This is probably my 5th time maybe. I never catch a lot of fish here, but sometimes I'll catch a bigger fish here. And I keep finding lots of grass. And when you fish a chatterbait and you fish grass, picking it off is just part of it. You just go through and deal with it. You tear them up?
One of the worst trips I ever made.
Really?
I had a 2-pounder on, the guy met the boat. He wasn't hooked very good. they got on.
Yeah.
That's the only strike I had.
I think we got about a couple of weeks maybe till that fall bite really starts picking up, but we got to get there with some more cold nights.
Yeah, I didn't figure the wind would be out of the east like it is.
Yeah, that's not going to help at all either.
I wouldn't have came if I knew that.
It always makes it hard.
Yeah.
All right, take her easy.
It'll get better.
Oh yeah.
Couple 3 weeks like you said.
Yeah, I think so too. We just got to fight until then. All right, let's talk about my gear since I'm throwing this jackhammer. Throwing it on a Dobbins chatterbait rod. It's the DC, the Champion 736 CB glass, 7'3", 6 power. It's a heavy fast action rod, but it's glass. So it's got a tip keeps you from pulling the bait away from the fish. Throwing this on 15-pound Seagar and VizX line with the 2021 Daiwa Zillion SVTW, and it's in a 6:3 gear ratio. And this reel actually won the ICAST for best reel, and I understand why, because it's been by far my favorite reel all year long. This thing is just smooth. I've got Shimano Corrado DCs that I really like, but this Zillion is just something else. Test out this new Mad Max. Came in the September Monster Bass box. Look at those bluebird skies. No wind, nothing. We're gonna slow down and try a little finesse, maybe a little drop shot, a little small finesse jig. I see the bass cruising in the water. They're just not hitting anything. But you know, that's fishing. You gotta figure out what they want before you can catch them. But I got all day. We'll figure something out. Hope y'all having a good Friday. I am, because I ain't working. Let's go. All right, cheat code time. Dobbins Boom Boom Finesse rod, which is a Champion XP. Shimano Stradic. Monster Bass tungsten drop shot weight. Daiichi hook from the Monster Bass bag. And an X Zone trick worm that came in this month's Monster Bass bag. Now, one of the cool thing about this X Zone deception worm is the tail of it has little air pockets. So it floats on the drop shot, but the tail will stick up a bit. But since we've got bluebird skies, very little wind, that means there's a lot of high pressure, high air pressure that is. And that means you got to slow down, fish the bottom, and kind of fish it slowly. These fish are not, they're not actively chasing anything. We've thrown the chatterbait, we've thrown several top waters. So now it's time to slow down and get a little more finessey. I've got a small jig tied on. I've got this drop shot tied on. And I've actually got a jerkbait tied on, to see if we can catch them suspended in places. So I'll be watching my graph as I go through and see if they're just hanging somewhere. Now, the funny thing is, we've seen a lot of activity on top of the water. They're just not interested in anything we're throwing. This is my new Daiwa Steez AGS. Came out this year. 2021, probably one of the most expensive rods I've ever owned, but I have never messed with anything this high end, and I wanted to see what the hype was about. Jesus Christ, this thing is light. This is the Bottom Contact 2. I'm throwing a Monster Bass tungsten with a small X Zone trailer. We got bluebird skies, high air pressure. Definitely time for some real finesse techniques. Crawl on the bottom, smaller baits. looking for that first bite. I generally throw Dobbins everything for tournament fishing, but since my partnership with American Legacy Fishing Company, I've got opportunities to try stuff that I've never tried before. They are a top Dobbins, Loomis, Shimano dealer. Since I started playing in kayak tournaments this year and actually qualified for the championships in all 3 different things that I fished, I'm gonna gear up and try a little harder next year, now that I've kind of got it down. I'm not new to fishing bass tournaments. I haven't done it in 15 years until this year, but this was, so to speak, my rookie season for kayak bass fishing tournaments. And I learned a lot of things and had a lot of fun. I've got a lot of things I need to adapt. But with that, I'm going to start, you know, having technique specific rods and reels. Trying different combination of rods and reels to suit, you know, the techniques that I like to fish and ones that I need to get better at. And this specific combination is one I put together for Finesse jigs. Now, when I say Finesse jigs, those are primarily the jigs. I am a jig fisherman. I throw a lot of jigs and chatterbaits, which a chatterbait is a bladed jig. But my confidence in bass fishing and catching jigs is really high, but I really like the smaller jigs. Now, I have another jig combo for skipping jigs under docks and things like that, but that is a specific combo for that technique. But my Finesse jig setup is this Daiwa Steez bottom contact 2. Means it's very sensitive, and specifically for this technique, I've got it paired with a Daiwa Tatula Elite pitch flip reel, 17-pound Seagar Abrasics line. And I know Dobbins has rods for this line of thing too, but I'm trying to expand my horizons, so to speak, fish with a lot of the brands that American Legacy carries. I've never had a Daiwa rod before. I started fishing my first Daiwa reels this year. Now, I also have a combo that I'm working on for Texas rigs, but right now I've only got the rod. The reel that I have for it, the new Shimano 150 MGL, I've got it bought and paid for. It's just not available to me yet. So as soon as American Legacy gets it in, I will have that at my doorstep. And we'll talk about that in another video. Since they're like 3 inches, you know, they're cruising kind of to the top, I wonder if a wake bait would be good for this. Running just under the surface of the water, that might be really good.
Yeah, something that's going to put it in front of them or on the same.
Yeah.
As they are.
Oh, dude, I got the perfect color for clear water too. Pulling out all the stops today. I don't think I've thrown a jerkbait all year.
20 minutes later.
Little dinker. Little bitty crankbait. I think this is the 6 cents. It's like a 50X that can never crush 50X maybe. Tiny little thing. I've got about 90 minutes till the sun's down. I need to start heading back that way because I want to fish the whole way there, but I need to fish this little area with this crankbait before I move out. How was that for a money cast? Now let's find a money fish. Deer standing there at the top of the boat ramp. All those guys around here hunting today. That's funny. There's a fish. Oh, thank God he didn't get my prop. Come here, dude. You guys are too hard to come by. We talk about that slow, dead period between the end of summer and the fall bite. This is what I am talking about. Bluebird skies all day. These fish wanted nothing to do with any moving bait. But they wanted the, oh, are you kidding me? And that's not even a bass. Is that a dogfish? Yep, dogfish. But the good thing is he dropped my drop shot, so I'm just gonna dump him right back in the water. That is kind of funny. Would have been cool if that had been a bass. Let's get him back in. Get out of the net, homie. There you go. But I mean, that's this time of year. The bite is super tough. Now you might be getting out and slaying them. Of course, you know the weather's a little different everywhere in the country. But for me today, it has been a tough day of fishing. But I didn't get skunked. I caught an 11-inch fish and a 14-inch fish, And they were both on the monster bass baits. So this is the X-Zone Deception Worm, had to think of the name of it, on a Daiichi standoff hook that I also got in a monster bass bag, along with a monster bass tungsten drop shot weight. And this setup is the only thing that's caught me fish all day today. And you know, sometimes when you have to slow down and fish finesse, that's what bluebird skies and kind of the dead end days of summer, as I like to call them. We're probably about the time these leaves are good brown, that fall bite should really pick up. But other than that, man, you are scrapping for any bite in any fish. And hell, I'm not going to complain about a 14 and an 11 incher, because at least I caught fish. But you know, sometimes you come out and spend all day and not even get a bite. That's fishing. Now my channel, I'm going to show you videos where we don't slay a bunch of fish, because it ain't like a lot of the other creators you see out there where they just go out and slay them every time. A little tip for you, a lot of those guys, if they're full-time YouTubers, they're fishing that same spot for up to a week, wearing the same clothes, doing everything just to catch. You know what I'm saying? It's content. But our channel, we don't need all that. I'm going to show you the ins and outs and the reality of fishing. Fishing is fun, and that's what I leave it at. Sure, I'm fishing some charity events. I'm fishing in some tournaments, but those are all donations. It's not like I'm going to win them, but I'm going to have fun playing in them. But we got a couple of fish. Hey, why not? But it's about time to get off the water. These mosquitoes are getting bad. Grandbabes are coming to town. We've still got a few good weeks of fishing left in the year, depending on where you live. When that fall bite hits, it's going to be fire. You'll want to be out as much as you can. After that, we'll be back in wintertime talking about fishing again. But with that said, it's time for me to get the yak loaded up on the trailer and get back on the road and play dodge a deer, because they're going to be out all over the place. Until next time, get outside when you can. Even if they're not biting like crazy, it's still fun. Go make some memories, one cast at a time.